Marvel may have fell off, but you gotta give it some slack. They produced some of the best movies to touch the superhero genre. Alright, Marvel has been a bit all over the place recently, but the good thing about Marvel is when one group sucks, we got another. X-Men 97 uses every strength of the verse to build a beautifully animated, compelling series about mutant and human coexistence. The show's premise shines when it's about Charles Xavier and Magneto. Eric and Xavier are two sides of the same coin. Both want peace between mutants and humans, but Charles thinks it could be done in peaceful ways. Magneto knows that peace ain't gonna get them nowhere. The mere presence of mutants alone poses a threat to mankind. Even though X-Men have done countless things for humanity, there are countless rebels against them because they fear what they don't know. We've seen Magneto outside of the comics explain why he's of the stance that he is. But what's so interesting about this show is it starts off with a Magneto-led X-Men. At first it seems like a scheme till he willingly turns himself in and goes through an actual trial. This was the biggest turning point to me, and the speech Magneto gave after just proved it. Magneto, in what I've seen previously, is a broken man, one who was betrayed by the very people Charles tells him to trust. Giving the villain a sad backstory is a classic formula that works, but now we see an apparent villain who's taking on the hero's mantle to try his very perspective and show him how wrong he is. Magneto literally got so tired of this man, he said, "You know what? You're right, Charles. Let's see how your plan works out."
Well, that went as well as could be expected, didn't it?
Magneto is genuinely one of the best written characters, and this show proves it. The attack on Genosha is the very thing Eric was trying to warn the mutants about, and it proves exactly why Magneto was always right. The majority of humans feel scared of mutants and their capabilities, and after watching any episode of The Boys, you could see why. We would definitely be too. I mean, I would be scared of all the mutants. Well, maybe not all of it. It's a really complicated coexistence, and it's just not really manageable long term. Someone is bound to get hurt on either side, but if they genuinely separated like Magneto wanted to, both sides would be better off. It was clear there was a lot of attention given to Magneto, but I'm glad they did. It made the entire show that much better. Because what was the heart of the MCU years ago alongside the Avengers group? An equally right villain in Thanos. We've seen it in recent time too, with plenty of shows where the villain's resolution makes them more of an anti-hero more than anything. And as you could tell from my name, I love anti-heroes. Because it's easy to be bad or good, but it takes a lot to see both sides. We've seen the villain who would sacrifice the world for the person, but what we rarely see is the villain actually taking on the heroic perspective. Most of the time they would tell us that they tried that way and it failed, or that they lost someone in the process. But here we actually see Magneto try and get stripped of everything. Literally. It's what made the recent Joker movie so compelling, because we get to see what led him to that downward spiral, how humane his story was. Instead of starting from the endpoint where they're a villain, we get to see what they were from the beginning. And without getting into more spoilers than I already have, you get to witness his reaction through it all, and whether or not he could still be swayed by the X-Men after constant betrayal by the human race. Almost every character was pretty compelling to the point that I could see why the X-Men are such a beloved franchise, and I could only imagine how good the comics are. Now, I did have one issue. The reason I said almost every character is because Sunspot kinda lacked. I don't know much about the lore, but it was dope to see a Latino character with a really cool power. Yet he managed to be so useless. I think they wanted Jubilee to be the focus of the dynamic, but honestly, it got to a point where I'd rather just not have him in the show, because of how useless he was. But that was my only critique. I loved basically every other character in the show. And the focus on Magneto was incredible, and the animation was even better. They said it got renewed already for 2 more seasons, which is not surprising. It was really damn good, and I'm glad they peeped the potential early on. And also, I just have to talk about Theo James. This dude pivoted so well from Divergent, and he's in Castlevania too apparently. Like, major pause, but dude's got a nice voice. I'm glad he's putting it to use.
Simply listen and obey. See, you were born living for this.
Marvel has done it yet again, and even though it's been a lot of hit or misses, all that matters is that they get those hits in, and this one is a certified hit. So if you're new to this channel, this is an in-person outro / update I've been doing for a bit now. First of all, thank you guys for the recent support on the video. It did really well. Also got me in some Twitter beef somehow, which if you haven't seen it, long story short, somebody screenshotted the thumbnail of my video and title and they just called it out for clickbait. In my opinion, the clickbait was just misleading in the sense it made you think Kaiju number 8 was more original than it is. But if you actually watch the video, which most people did, and that's the reason it has 97% likes to dislikes ratio, then you would know I said it's not the most original thing, but it's still really enjoyable and uses the tropes in a good way. But people like to hate, and I think Twitter just brought that to the forefront for me. But that aside, if you want to, follow my Twitter, I got Instagram. There's a Discord that I just don't know how to run clearly because of how dead it is. I will figure all those things out. So he ended up apologizing. He has a big following. It's whatever. Of course, things are going to get taken out of context. I was really pressed that this dude replied to it and said, "Nerds like this need to get put back in a locker." To which originally I pressed quote tweet and I responded to it. But eventually I realized, find God. Just find God. I have reached peace. I've reached inner peace. Oh, my lighting just died. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I also shout out to this comment. I do want to make this channel more diverse. I don't expect every video to do as well as my videos in general have been doing, but that's not what it's about. It's about what I want to make. It's about the things I enjoy, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Thank you for watching, and I might see you in the next one.